WTA connects learners with real-world skills and industry certifications.
From students to seasoned leaders, corporate executives to community activists, from the boardroom to the classroom, front desk to the construction site, we travel the country having real conversations to gain perspectives and insights on what it takes to thrive. This is the iBuild America podcast with your host, Byron V. Garrett.
Greetings, folks, and welcome back to another great episode of iBuild America podcast. I'm your host, Byron Garrett, and this week we have a real special treat. Not only do we travel the country and go to amazing spaces and places and talk with excellent folks, this particular day we're visiting the Detroit Job Corps campus. Super excited to have two dynamic guests, one who's a student currently enrolled in the program, and one who is, I would say, is a professor because he's also a retiree from corporate America. But please welcome to the show Jordan, as well as his instructor, Mr. Collar. Both of you, welcome today.
Thank you.
And thanks for joining us. I mean, this conversation, as you know, we travel the country, we talk with folks around issues and items around workforce development and how people pick different career paths. And I'm curious, Mr. Collar, I want to start with you before we go to Jordan. You had a previous career at Chrysler, you retired, but why did you decide that this was kind of your next feat in work?
Short story is I saw a lot of people that worked too long in life and didn't enjoy it. So I wanted to be retired, but I wanted to keep busy. And I actually, when I was a youth out of high school, I started with a CETA scholarship, City Employment Training Act, which is a real bred down Job Corps. And it's with that I went to college. Only kid in my family went to college. And that's what started me having the awesome career I've had, to be able to be here and share what was shared with me.
And give folks those who may not understand Job Corps, like what actually happens when I sign up for Job Corps. I mean, back in the day we heard about it, but in this day and age, what does that mean that I'm on a Job Corps campus and I'm a student involved in a program?
Students come in and, like anything else in life, you get exactly what you put into it. Students come in here like Mr. Jordan, and he comes in here and he wants to finish what he started. He comes in here, he was very focused, finishing his high school diploma, and then he's focusing on finishing his electrical program and that. But otherwise, when he's not in school during the day, they have dorms, they have activities, and then they take some field trips.
So Jordan, it's kind of like going to college, but not quite. Is that how you feel?
I couldn't say that because I've never been to college, but
Okay.
as much as yeah.
And why did you pick out of all the things you could be doing at the age of 18? Like, how do you decide I'm gonna leave home and I'm gonna come stay on campus and sign up for Job Corps?
Because I knew the independence it gave me, and I wanted that independence at some point, and my mom went here when she was a kid. So
your mom came to Job Corps also? Oh, wow.
She went to the one in Port Huron.
Oh, really?
So that motivated me to come here as well, just the independence.
And how did you pick, because you're in the electrical trade, so how did you pick electrical out of other things that you could have selected?
Because that was the most interesting trade to me coming in here. Coming in here, I really just wanted my diploma, but seeing electrical, I just went for it.
Now, you could have done office automation or something like that. Why didn't you choose to do that? You ain't want to sit in the office behind the big desk at the conference table?
No, I wanted to be the one. I wanted to be the one you see in my neighborhood fixing up houses. Having men coming in and out of houses with tools, fixing up houses.
So actually doing something constructive in a literal sense.
Yeah.
I mean, what about, because you get paid when you get done, so the money didn't really matter? That wasn't the motivating factor?
No, that does not matter at all.
Are you sure? Because everybody say all young people right now, all y'all care about is money and making some money.
When the money get to me, when the money hit my account, it's like, hey, I got an extra few dollars, but in the bigger scheme of things, the 1 week of work that I work as an apprentice or a journeyman, I make that in a week, Make that in a week.
So you've already mapped out how much money you're gonna make when you finish the program, or how much you think you should be making?
Not necessarily. I just know that I will be successful as far as financials and just in life.
I appreciate that, because oftentimes people, I think, are under this misconception that young people don't really care about their future. They're not concerned about what they do next, or they just want to make a quick dollar. Because how long have you been in the program so far?
6 months.
6 months?
Yeah.
And how long will it be before you get finished?
Another 6 months. This is trade minimum. It's like, a year? Something like that.
Yeah.
So it's a year commitment for this particular trade?
He'll be done in less than 6 months.
Oh,
6 months. There you
okay.
go.
Because are you an overachiever in that regard?
I don't like to say myself as an overachiever. I just get my work done.
And it sounds like you get your work done faster than other people.
I guess you could say that.
And some would say that that's an overachiever. I'm just saying,
Yeah.
you don't have to toot your own horn.
Yeah.
So Mr. Collar, you've seen students come in and out. You've seen students complete, and you even told me earlier when we were chatting, it's not easy. It's a difficult program. And so if I'm signing up for this, what should I know? If I said I want to change my life and I'm
I
coming to
wouldn't want
Job
to say the
Corps.
Job Corps is difficult.
Okay,
Electrical is a very
great distinction.
challenging trade. That's why that's why they have the responsibilities and the income that they have. I've had students that thought they wanted to be in electrical, and once they found out how much responsibility it has, they decided to choose a less demanding trade. They didn't leave Job Corps, but they left electrical.
So out of the trades that are available on this campus, is electrical the most difficult or the most advanced?
I would say yes.
Okay.
I don't think anybody would argue that on this
Yeah.
campus that this is by far the most demanding and challenging trade.
And so even to the public who thinks, oh, Job Corps, because back in the day, the perspective would be, okay, you don't have your life together, you can't figure it out, so we're just going to send you to Job Corps. That doesn't sound like who Jordan is. It don't sound like the average student who just says, I don't have anything else to do, so let me just choose to do electrical. I think it requires some sense of skill and perseverance and wanting to do something better than what you're currently doing.
Yeah. At a moral level,
Mm-hmm.
I'm very clear with the students. I cannot be responsible for pushing Jordan through the program and having him thinking that he's an electrician. Because if you don't want to know this and actually own the responsibility of doing this, I don't want to read about him being hurt or hurting somebody else when I am retired and sitting back watching TV because I'm retired and I find out that I set him up for failure. So he has to drive. And to be an electrician, you have to be a driver.
So it's not the job you can just kind of come late and leave early and
Being an
just.
electrician is not an easy job. You are a leader just because you're even as an apprentice, you're still a leader in the village.
I appreciate that. So I'm curious as you think about different career trades, how society is operating now. What are your friends doing right now who are not in Job Corps? Those folks that you kind of left back at home. What are they doing today?
It may sound crazy, but I don't got many friends. Just because moving around a lot as a kid, I couldn't really build a real bond. I build real bonds with people, but really couldn't keep that bond. Just moving around and things like that.
I understand that. Growing up, I moved every 2 to 3 years from the age of 5 to the time I actually went off to college. And so that notion of how do you create long-standing friendships, I tell people I didn't have those actually until I got out of high school. Until I finally was somewhere and I was like, oh, I'm going to be here longer than 2 years. Like, oh, not that it wasn't worth the investment in time, but I actually can follow up with you and be like, hey, what you doing next summer? What did you do last year? I didn't get to have a lot of those conversations, so I can identify with that in some very real ways. I will tell you, though, now I have like what I call lifelong friends, very long-standing friendships, because my appreciation for them are very different. Because I feel like I missed out on that, quite honestly.
Yeah, I feel like that too a lot. I built a lot of real bonds with people that I thought may have went far, but things happen.
Life happens.
Yeah, life.
I mean, so curious, being on campus. I know you mentioned you play basketball. What are some of the other things you get to do, or activities and things you get to engage in?
I'm not too much of an activity person.
Okay.
I just like to play basketball. That's the only thing that really get me out of my element.
So you want to play ball and hoop, and then you want to do electrical stuff.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah, that's it. And travel the world.
Okay. And I believe electricians get to travel. They're used in every corner of the universe, without a doubt.
Yeah.
Where's somewhere you want to go to? If you looked at a map and said you could go anywhere you wanted to, where would you want to go?
It would have to be Florida just because I went there before, but I couldn't stay as long as I wanted to.
Any particular part, like Miami or Orlando or?
Tampa. I was in Tampa for about 3 weeks. I thought I was going to be there for the rest of my life. Ended up being just 3 weeks. Wish I could go back.
So Florida's on the map for you?
Yeah, definitely.
Anywhere outside of the country you've thought about going that you've heard about?
No. Because around me, you don't hear too many people taking trips out of the country,
Okay.
That is one thing that I am aiming for.
So you get to break the cycle.
Yeah, that's another reason why I do what I do.
Most of my folks and family members, they hadn't traveled outside of the country. And I don't even know how many countries I've traveled to now. So I want you to know it's possible. And for anybody else that's listening, you should recognize, realize, and understand you get to make a conscious decision for your life to change. And you're obviously on a pathway to do that.
Yeah.
I'm curious, Mr. Collis, so as you've seen students matriculate or complete the program, give me an example of a success story that you've seen in terms of somebody who comes to Job Corps on one day and then they end up going through your program and they put all the time and hours in and they stay focused. What can I look forward to on the other side?
I've been in touch with my students that have graduated in the past. We a lot of times we get together in December and have half dozen of them show up for a dinner, lunchtime. To have to hear their stories of things that they did that they didn't know existed. Like George said, he hasn't been in the world. He hasn't seen how many different places it is, and that I'm excited for him. And when I had received a phone call from one of my students from the mom telling me that my student made too much money, he must be in drugs or something.
What you mean?
I'm serious. The mom was like, Mr. Collar, you need to help me. I developed a rapport with him as I'm in here, and this kid, the student, went out there and he made $52,000 in the first 5.5 months he left Job Corps.
And he was in the electrical trade.
Electrical trade, and he was working in construction where most of my students go, and he'd been in 4 or 5 different states in those first few months. And mom was saying, listen, I've been working hard my whole life and I ain't never made $50,000 in my life.
Yeah.
And how's he can't be making? No, he's going to make $100,000 next year. And he did.
Wow.
And the fact that his experience in Job Corps created positive motivation as younger brother and sister, that they became honor students in high school and got jobs out of high school. And I get excited when I tell the story because I didn't change his life. I changed his mama's life.
Yeah, the entire trajectory changed.
Instead of her working her fingers to the bone for the next 20 years, they're going to be supporting her for the next 40 years.
Yeah.
I mean, that's an awesome feeling.
That is a phenomenal story. And I mean, it's that notion, and you kind of chuckled at first, like, I can't believe they're making too much money. But there is a belief in life for some who have not had the same opportunities and access. You do start assuming that it must be bad or negative. But the reality is you complete a great program, whether it's this, a 2-year school, a different certification, an apprenticeship, and you truly do end up on a pathway. So I got a fundamental question for the two of you before we wrap up. And I'll start with you, Jordan. If I want you to finish this sentence, I build America, ... How would you answer that?
I build America by influencing the ones around me.
Okay. Friends, family, classmates,
family, people I don't know. I plan to have a camera. I plan to be behind the camera at one point.
Okay.
Documenting my life. That's one thing that I am aiming for.
So influence.
Yeah.
Wow, and having a platform.
Yeah.
That speaks volumes. And how about you, sir? You build America how? I know how I would answer for you, but I want to know what you say.
It might be cliche. I'm building them one student at a time.
I love that. Building them one student at a time.
Besides teaching at Job Corps, I also teach at a construction academy. And I can do this way past, I'm retired from my corporate job and I'm enjoying life. And I get, when you have to have the conversations like I had before, I can live on those kind of conversations for a long time and relive on that and that. So I'm one student at a time.
Yeah.
Giving Jordan a chance to walk in my shoes, that's a feeling.
Yeah.
So yeah, one student at a time.
And we might fast forward some years from now and find out Jordan's back here teaching, also offering the same type of insight and perspective.
I've made that comment. I says, wouldn't you like? I've said it to the students. I says, wouldn't you like to be in my shoes? Wouldn't you like to be able to afford to come back to Job Corps and help another generation?
And what's the answer?
And a mixed response. Some are like, that'll never happen.
What you think about that? Could you see yourself coming back and the student becomes the teacher?
No.
No? Too soon?
I will come back and influence the students, but as far as teaching, maybe at some point. But I'm too young to think about that right
Right.
now.
You're like, no, I got a whole host of other things I want to
Yeah, I
tackle
wanna
first.
do all type of other things. Teaching is not really in my, but maybe in the future when I'm older.
But being an electrician is. And we see that for you.
Definitely.
Well, you all heard it here this week on our episode of iBuild America podcast. Our great guest, Mr. Collar, also Jordan. Thank you all for tuning in live and direct from Detroit, from the Detroit Job Corps campus. We'll see you next time.
A big thank you to our sponsor, Workforce Training Academy, for making this episode possible.